After being married for 5 years, my spouse and I decided to take a much-needed break from our busy lives and escape for a couple weeks to an expensive resort. Our relationship was beginning to take a hit, and we hoped that this vacation would not only rejuvenate our bodies, but also fix our marriage. With no children and no plans to start a family, we initially wanted to focus on ourselves. But things didn't go as planned. In the end, we decided to stick to our current lifestyle and put having children on hold for later. However, my wife's strong attachment to her parents became apparent when, on the eve of our trip, she came home with an expensive bag of brand-name watches. I couldn't help but be wary, as this was not a planned purchase before our trip to another country. Without even asking me, my wife excitedly stated that it was a gift for me, but I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow skeptically. She laughed and explained that it was an anniversary gift for her father, and she wanted to give it in advance and take pictures to post on social media. My wife hurried into the bedroom to take countless photos of the watch to post online, asking me to put a like on it in 20 minutes. Mary, as much as I love her, can be superficial and impulsive at times. She quit her job a year ago to become a blogger, and her social media page has grown considerably since then. However, it hasn't borne much fruit, and she continues to post random things and obsess over emojis on our shared photos. Instead of enjoying a vacation lounging in the sun, I went on vacation with my wife's obsession with social media. Due to unforeseen expenses, we even had to give up our hotel room, which was frustrating but manageable. Despite this, I couldn't deny that I enjoyed the sun, beach, and palm trees. However, my wife didn't seem to be as pleased. Every night there was a new disagreement, and eventually we stopped talking to each other. I hoped she would let go of her discontent, but things only got worse. I began to notice that my wife was disappearing in the evenings, and when I asked her about it, she would simply reply that she was out with a friend and going for a swim in the pool. She would wrap herself in a towel and leave the room, and I would stay behind, mentally accompanying her. And then it hit me. The towel covered only her body, and the straps of her swimsuit were not visible. I couldn't understand what kind of friendship she had made by going swimming naked. I quickly ran out of the room and headed for the pool. There was obviously no one there. After coming to my senses, I decided to take a walk on the private beach. There were usually no people here after sunset. However, there were private villas near the hotel, and their guests sometimes went for a night swim. Walking on their property was forbidden, but as I pondered, I wandered toward the path and heard laughter nearby. I quickly hid, but then I recognized that laughter. It was my wife. I found her in a hammock with another man. They hadn't even bothered to hide inside the villa. My wife froze as the man awkwardly tried to get out of the hammock. He spoke in broken English, but it made no sense. Without thinking, I gave him a kick in the ass, causing him to fall out of the hammock. Climbing to his feet, he tried to grab my wife's towel to cover himself, but ended up dropping it. My wife climbed out of the hammock and chased after her lover, as I assumed she would. However, she picked up the towel, tried to wrap it around herself, and made a grimace. "Damn, it's wet," my wife reprimanded, fixing her hair and looking at me with her head up. "It's not what it looks like. Come on, tell me an incredible story. How can it be explained?" "Vincent, I was just joking around trying to play a joke on you, and I succeeded. Nothing serious. I love only you." She gestured toward the private villa. She threw a towel at me, stained by her infidelity, but missed. I spat and turned to walk back to the hotel. "Get me some clothes." Mary shouted curses after me, but I just smiled and kept walking. Unable to resist, I shouted back at her, "Hey everyone, I'm filing for divorce, and the court will award the fairest of them all our property. Knowing you, I'd say the meanest one will win." And with a heavy sigh, I added, "I'll see you in court." In the room, I hastily packed my belongings, fully intending to go register my eviction. But then it struck me. I had already paid for the rest of my stay and even the plane tickets. Why should I leave? So I approached the receptionist, and after a brief conversation, my double room without meals was transformed into a single room. I also requested that my wife be given the plane ticket so she could attempt to exchange it for the keys to our apartment. It was stashed away in my purse, ready for my return. After all, I still had a whole week of vacation left. Settling onto the balcony with a refreshing cocktail, I couldn't help but notice some commotion downstairs. Curiosity got the better of me, and I soon found myself witnessing the source of the noise. Half-naked Mary was being escorted out of the hotel by two guards, one holding her hand and the other dragging her suitcase. She was shouting profanities, claiming to be a blogger with a large following who could have advertised for the hotel. But it was all in vain. As she was quickly shoved into a cab and driven off, I couldn't help but think, good riddance, Mary. Back at home, the first thing I did was file for divorce, but it never made it to court. My father-in-law intervened, and after a man-to-man talk, we decided to keep things civil and avoid any legal battles. They relinquished any claims to our property, and my father-in-law even offered to return the watch he had gifted us on our anniversary. Of course, I declined. It was a good gift, but it only reminded me of the failure of my first marriage.